Earlier today, one of our presidential candidates did something unusual in the statehood discussion. He told the truth. When asked about his objection to statehood, rather than hiding behind some historical argument, he said, "I just don't like that there's too many Democrats." We've taken our cause around the world and joined international organizations for unrepresented people, bringing unprecedented attention to our struggle in the global community. We've traveled around the country and enlisted groups in Iowa, Nevada, support in Hawaii, where Americans are taking up the cause of their fellow D.C. residents. Your strategy will expand that to all 50 states, and we're excited for the opportunity to work with you. But we recognize that there have been issues in the past that have not necessarily moved this program forward. Hopefully, with the newfound coordination between the legislative, the executive, and our delegation, we can begin a way to engage the community, address those issues, and move this process forward.
So what people have told me, what the polls show, is that we have to continue to forge a new path to get the representation that we deserve. And we know, to be like all other tax-paying Americans, we need a vote in the House and we need 2 senators. And the only way to get there is to become the 51st state. So that is what this is about. Last week on Emancipation Day Eve, we set out kind of a bold step and a bold challenge to all of us to put this question on the ballot. And why is this time, different? What's different? And what we know is not only what the senator just mentioned, but there's never been more support among our own electorate for statehood than now. And we also hope to have a package, the D.C. voters saying we want statehood. And we may even have the opportunity for a different looking and sounding and rationally thinking members of Congress who, even in their own way, and you referred to what we heard the governor from Ohio say today, there was no logical explanation for denying 700,000 people who pay taxes in this country a vote in the Congress. These are people who know how our country was founded, and we want to appeal to their logic and to their love of democracy. But we also want to be ready. There are 2 paths traditionally to statehood. The first, that the Congress passes enabling legislation, and we know that our Congresswoman has put such an act before the Congress for many, many years. The second, it also having been followed most recently by Tennessee, is that the territory, Tennessee in that case, or us, the district, would have everything all together. So the people would have voted, the people would have voted on boundaries, the people would have approved a state constitution, and the people would certify that they intend to have a representative form of government. So that is what we will ask the people of the District of Columbia to agree to this fall. We will work with citizen participation, drafting a constitution, that we will convene a constitutional convention, that we will create the boundaries for a federal district, that we will submit to the Council of the District of Columbia a legislation asking for an advisory referendum on the November 8th, 2016 ballot.
We have proven our ability to govern ourselves with a unicameral legislature in the current form that we've had for a while now. And we've taken incremental steps towards greater democracy, including the election of our own Attorney General. And so the biggest problem with the older versions of the constitutions, and there were actually 2 of them, is that they don't bear as much similarity to the government institutions that are important today. We want statehood to empower and enrich the lives of our citizens. And in order to do that, we want to make the transition as seamless as possible. And we know that one of the things that opponents of statehood are going to try and distract us with is how much will it cost, and what is it going to mean to change all this stuff around. Well, we have a functioning government. The part of the government that doesn't function is the congressional interference, and that's what we want to get rid of. We have commissions that function well at our local municipal neighborhood level. We have institutions that function well really at the state level. And so what we need to do is conform our Constitution to the government that exists now. And then, once we become a free and sovereign state, we as the people will have the ability to amend that Constitution time and time again, anytime we need to, without having to worry that those amendments will need to go forth and lay over in a congressional review period where any member from around the country can interfere with the wishes of our democratic voters. And frankly, we've had so many new people come to the city that it's an opportunity to engage them in that process and in the future of their community. Statehood for a long time has been a battle carried on by longer-term residents, but a passion that burns just as brightly in our newer residents. And this process of civic engagement will re-engage, hopefully, both our longer residents and our newer residents in a united way of moving this process forward.